Mr. Hendricks. I don't know what I should be called. I guess you can just call me Matt.
Yeah,
I don't care. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you from here?
No, I've lived in this area. Are we identifying? I don't know how much personal identification you want to give here.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So, but yeah, I've been in the Charleston area for 5 years or so. I lived in the Delta area of Mississippi and Louisiana for 18 years, in between Alexandria, Louisiana, and Vicksburg, Mississippi. And that whole region, the Acadian region, I don't know if y'all know where that's at. It's the Louisiana stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I joined the military, did 20 years in the military, and we were talking about this. So, probably spent 14 of those years overseas. I traveled all over America, all over the world, did all the education and stuff that you're supposed to do to be the rich and successful American, man, and got out and was a contractor. For, I don't know how much I should say about where I was a contractor, but it was a great job. I literally reached all of my goals. It was that, I don't know, I don't want to speak for anybody else's experience, but it was like a movie that I had set every goal that I had ever set for myself, or I had reached every goal in my life that I had gotten out of the military, and I had all of these accomplishments and, all this other stuff, but it was not what I expected it to be. It was, one of those benchmark life moments where it's kind of empty.
Yeah.
So, quit my job, sold my motorcycle, moved to Louisiana, and ran for Congress because I swore to myself that, I was going to serve my country and, run a campaign that was based on volunteers and no fundraising and, this grassroots thing. And because, I had great ideas and had proved with my life that I was willing to serve my country, that I would be able to get into Congress. It was one of those really stupid moments in reflection that you're like, what the hell was I thinking? That it's you ever see the guy who's running for president who's got the boot on his head, and you think to yourself, and you're like, does this guy really think he's gonna win and become the president?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, as one of those guys, I thought I was gonna win and go to Congress.
Like
It's
gold.
amazing. So I didn't win, obviously. My claim to fame, the thing that I will never lose, no matter how much anybody tries to take it away from me, is that I ran for Congress in Louisiana in the same year that Kanye West ran for president in America. And I got more votes for Congress in Louisiana than Kanye West got for president in Louisiana.
So he didn't upstage you. He didn't
So
overshadow you.
look, nobody can ever take that away from me. So that was another just like slam dunk moment on life for me. So after that, I decided, I had, like I said, I had sold my motorcycle, quit my job, and had another one of those existential moments. And I said, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to take care of my family. I'm going to be a father. And I moved to Charleston because this is the area that my ex-wife had settled in and settled into being a father. And one of the many things I think I'm blessed with is an ability to kind of public speak and stand in front of people and give speeches and teach. And the application of that I sought to pursue was acting and standing in front of a camera or in a theater, and did some writing, little stuff here and there, nothing much, but ended up teaching at the local technical college, acting for the film, which is great. I've done it a couple of times, and every time I do it, I say I'm not doing it anymore, but I enjoyed it every time. So I'm like, okay. And all the students tell me they enjoy it, so I don't want to take it. If I'm providing a little bit of joy to the world, I don't want to take that out. But that's where I am now, and I very much enjoy having political discussions with intelligent, reasonable people about the complex issues that are attacking America, and that's what brought me to Mr. Brooks.
All good.
Which is what brought me to Mr. Hendricks.
Yeah.
So
And
I hope that wasn't too long of an introduction.
No,
but
that
that's,
was great.
that's who I
I
am.
want to ask before we get into the meeting.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned acting. Have you done anything other than
Community theater,
community theater?
Student films, stuff like that.
Okay.
I've done some. There's some pilot work, some commercials, but it's
Okay.
real local stuff.
You
I mean,
studied any place?
yeah. Well, no, not studied like you mean. I
Oh.
have studied the craft very much because I teach the subject,
Yeah.
and I've always been very passionate about movies
Okay.
and film as an art form.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
anybody who's taken my class will tell you that most of the class is just listening to me talk about how brilliant this is or how bad this is, and
Gotcha.
it's just me. I can't believe I get paid to do it. It's really just to sit
Yeah.
down and nerd out about what it means to be a great actor and because I love film.
Study film.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't mean
you-
I'm a great actor, to be clear, but I
But,
enjoy
but
it.
you didn't take any acting classes? But
No.
you studied.
He's
I
a
got you,
self-taught
got you.
actor.
Gotcha. There's
That'll
nothing wrong
work.
with that.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He said life is the stage. Life
It's
is
a
his
se- yeah.
teacher. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a
What do you
series of
think of?
experiences.
Yeah.
You've been in Charleston for 5 years. What do you think about Charleston?
Yeah, be honest.
Can't-
Go ahead.
Can't none of y'all drive, man.
Oh,
Can't none of
that-
y'all drive.
that's-
I'm gonna tell y'all that right now.
That's true. I believe that.
And it ain't
That's
unique
true.
to Charleston. It
That
ain't.
is
It's
true.
really almost every place in America. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, like places like Manhattan, they know what they're doing. They know they're not good drivers, but Manhattan. See, this is the problem you got to worry about when you ask me a question. I'm gonna go off on a little
No, that's okay.
tangent.
Sit up.
But I lived in D.C. for.
You got to sit up.
Sit
Oh,
up a
I'm
little
sorry,
bit.
man.
You
Can
got-
I lock this thing?
I don't know. Yeah, I think you can.
Should have figured all this out before we got started. I'm
So
gonna lean
try-
forward.
Yeah. So Charlestonians can't drive.
No, Charlestonians can't drive, and I lived in D.C. for a couple of years. I lived in Manhattan. I'm telling you, I've lived in places that have heavy traffic. I've lived over in Europe and several places. I lived in Korea. I ain't even gonna get into the Middle East stuff, but I know a little bit about driving and traffic. I'm gonna tell you right now, y'all can't drive. It ain't just Charleston, but Charleston's bad about it, and I can explain why, but it's gonna take a
come
minute.
on.
I don't
Go
know
ahead,
how
go
long
ahead.
y'all want me to rant.
I'm from here, and I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
Charles, they cannot drive.
Yeah.
They cannot drive.
What do you think it is?
I think me personally.
Go.
Nah, I ain't gonna say that. But
Why not?
I'm gonna put it like this.
You ain't gonna hurt my feelings.
No,
What?
no, it ain't.
It ain't me.
No,
You gonna hurt? You gonna hurt Brooks's feelings?
No.
It ain't gonna hurt my feelings.
I think people definitely. Well, that's across the board anyway. People don't pay enough attention, right? I really think that. Like I give you one example.
No, you're right.
If there's an accident, normally the agenda is to clear the accident. If you can't move the car, so the flow of traffic can move. Correct.
Yeah.
But what Charlestonians would do is traffic can move, but they all slow down and stop to look at it.
Yeah.
And they hold up traffic, right?
Yeah.
And they run red lights all the time
Yeah.
and stuff like or shoot.
And
through
cell
yellows
phones
all the
hadn't
time.
made this any better.
No,
And
it
I
has
think they
not, it
just
has not.
passed
They
a
just
new
passed
law.
Yeah, in September.
I
Last
ain't.
year,
I wanted. Look. Do y'all cuss on your
Yeah,
podcast?
yeah.
Okay, because I want to see motherfuckers pulled over. I want to see. I want every motherfucking road better have somebody pulled over for fucking being on their phone. Because I'm gonna tell you right now that what you talking about being distracted. This.
Yeah, that's.
Well, it's that age-old thing. They had the same thing with healthcare when they passed. Here's why, because I'm gonna jump right into politics. You ain't even asked me a subject, but I'm gonna holler right into it.
Yeah.
It's one of the problems why we had to get to Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, is because healthcare is based on the presumption of this big pool of premium paying customers, and there's this mentality of younger people that they are invulnerable. Like when you're in your teens and your 20s and maybe even into your 30s a little bit, you don't have that existentialism of me driving down the interstate at 90 miles an hour and 2 tons of metal within 6 inches of other people who are driving 2 tons of metal. It don't click in your mind how dangerous that is because you ain't never died before, so why would it be something you think about? You know what I'm saying? In your mind, in that little naive young way of looking at the world. So young people don't buy health insurance.
Right.
And if they're not paying for the premiums before they get sick, then the insurance companies don't have this big pool of premiums they can use to pay people out. It's all a numbers game. That's why the Affordable Care Act was a bad idea, is because it tried to partner capitalism with socialism in this twisted way that you can't guarantee demand for a product without addressing supply for the product. It's the same reason that student loans are outrageous right now.
Mm.
It's why it's caused the student loan debt is because the government got involved in higher education because everybody wanted to go to college, which is great. That's fine. That sounds like a great idea. Well, what happens is when you pass a law that says, hey, if you graduate high school, we guarantee you a student loan. Well, what do you think is gonna happen to the loan industry and the price of college? What's the logical conclusion of what happens next? Because that's exactly what happened. The capitalistic aspect of our culture got invested in the money coming from the government that said, hey, everybody can go to college. Everybody can go to college. The government says everybody can go to college. That's guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm.
So then all of a sudden, all the kids have to do is graduate high school, fill out some paperwork. They sign on the dotted line. Next thing you know, I got a loan I'm 18 years old and I got a loan for $170,000 or however much it costs to go to college these days.
Mm.
Who gives a damn what it's going to look like down the road? I got straight A's. I'm getting into Harvard, right?
Mm.
I'm going to graduate with a degree in socioeconomic justice as applied to gender studies, and I'm going to make $500,000 a year, right?
Some of that I agree with, but I think what hurts your argument is that Harvard is actually, no matter what degree you get, is kind of worth it, because you can say you went to Harvard. But anyways,
I can disagree with that, but I'm gonna let you talk.
Well, if you can put on your resume that you went to Harvard, man, you're gonna get a better job than the person who got let's say they had a degree in the field that you were going for, you're probably going to pick that Harvard person over that person.
It's
more than likely, just because they have the H by their resume. But yeah,
well, all value in the world is only worth what someone else will pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the name Harvard has to mean something. And I don't think it means as much as other people think it means.
Maybe not as much as it used to back in the day, but it still means something.
I do think it means a lot.
Harvard
I'm not in
means
that.
something.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
in that. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not in that world of resumes.
But
so.
anyways, did you want to say anything about this stuff?
No, that's totally
Because before we get into politics, but yeah, go ahead.
economic. Supply and demand, the same thing. If it's valuable to somebody, then it means something. If if it's accredited, then it means. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's pretty much exactly what it is. Harvard doesn't mean anything to him, but to our social society, it means everything to everybody else. You know what I mean?
And I think it does mean something. Like there's a history of legitimacy there that I wouldn't dismiss outright.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't say it's worthless. And anyway, if somebody graduates from Harvard Law School, like that does have legitimacy for
Oh,
me.
yeah.
And if somebody's teaching at Harvard, I assume that this person not only has credentials but is intelligent.
Exactly.
Like that's the kind of environment where stupid people are going to get spotted.
Because the
fast.
thing is that a place like Harvard
But
has
did you understand what I was
the
saying?
highest standards. I understand. I agree with some of the stuff
Well,
with
who
the college.
sets the standards?
Well,
Right.
I mean, I don't know, but
People in that community, right?
yeah, the people in that community.
What
But-
happens when that system becomes corrupt?
Right.
And it becomes a nepotism, or it's associated with
Yeah.
an ideology that's more political or based in rational fact.
Right.
Before we get too deep into politics, because I do want to talk about all of this stuff.
Okay.
I just wanted to sort of bring it back to the city we're living in.
And I'm sorry,
Oh.
did Hendricks get a chance to introduce himself, or do your podcast listeners know who you are?
Yeah, they kinda know.
This
Okay.
is our podcast.
This is-
Yeah, I wanted to make sure.
No,
Yeah.
you good. He make it sound like
Oh,
it's his,
okay.
but no, this is our.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
I
shit.
always mention you. I've mentioned.
I wanted to make sure that we didn't.
I always mention you. You
No,
said
I mean, no.
I probably dove in the middle of it. I'm sorry.
You know,
By
they
the-
know- they know
By the
us.
way, on this
It's about you.
podcast, I'm the villain.
Yeah.
You're the guy that everybody loves. Everybody's always like saying.
Well, I want you to bring the
Brooks is-
smoke.
Yeah,
All right, I
exactly.
want you to bring the smoke. Don't.
That's because he loves Drake.
Trust
so much.
me.
That's
Yeah,
why.
don't. You're in
Trust
swinging
me,
distance. Don't
on
swing
this-
at me though.
on this
I'll
podcast-
back up and hit this camera.
I am the villain. But
I'll run all the way out the door and not let any
What's-
of that stop me.
so you were in Mississippi and Louisiana in that area.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the differences between Charleston and that area? And what do you like about Charleston? What do you like about Mississippi?
So Charleston for me, and I didn't all I said was the driving. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But beyond that, I do love living in Charleston, and here's why. It has access. You're living in a major American city that has a lot of American history and a lot of American culture, and it's based in. For everybody that doesn't know the history of the area, this is a great place to discuss issues of race when it comes to American history, because Charleston's history is based on this issue.
Much. Yeah, you're right.
And a lot of America is in a lot of ways, but Charleston especially, there's a market downtown, man.
Right.
You just gotta go.
So they preserve it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Louisiana has this as well. I knew about it before I moved to Charleston, because when I ran for office in Louisiana, I made a point to educate myself about that specific region and its history. And we can talk about that too, because that's a whole other political thing. But the biggest difference for me between Charleston and that area is the difference between a rural area of America and more of a city. Now, Charleston is not a city like New York is a city,
Right.
or DC is a city,
Right.
or London, or any of these other places. But it is kind of the modern American city,
Like a little southern city.
yeah.
If you will.
It's a lot like. I mean, I don't want to say Atlanta, because
No,
Atlanta's out of
definitely not
control
like Atlanta. Definitely
with
not
the
like Atlanta.
interstates. But I mean, it's like a smaller Atlanta.
Or a smaller Charlotte, I would say.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's good
Charlotte
too.
is a smaller Atlanta, so this is like a smaller Charlotte.
Yeah, and it's
guess
more
the same.
it's more spread out, and the areas of Charleston have.
No, you good.
I knew I was going to do that. I knew it was going to happen. But it's more spread out, and for me, the areas are much more compartmentalized than you see in other areas. Every major city has these areas that, even in New Orleans, you got different neighborhoods and stuff. But with Charleston, especially, like the Mount Pleasant area as compared to the Northwoods Mall area, I mean, and it's all like right there. But I personally prefer the rural American. I mean, I'm telling you, I lived in New York City. I have lived in DC. I've lived overseas in European cities and villages. And I mean, I've lived all over the world, and where I come from and maybe there are places I've never lived in South Carolina, and some of the maybe South Carolina's got some awesome rural areas, but I cannot stand the city aspect of the Charleston area.
You like rural.
I won't lie. I'm a country man. I'm a redneck. I
It's
won't lie. I'm a
nothing wrong with
redneck.
that. You like rural. You like rural.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong
exactly.
with
That's
that.
just
There's nothing wrong with that.
you want. I think we all kind of yearn for this community connection that is associated with family, and whether or not we acknowledge that it's associated with family, I think it's an evolutionary instinct to associate it with family, and that necessitates kind of this generational connected community, that you don't see in a city. I mean, you can be in a city and be in a family. I'm not saying you can. I know people that have lived here for a very long time, but in a rural area, you're much more likely to build a closer community over a wider area, which gives you more connections in a different way. Does that make sense? Because every time you socialize, it's with the same people. Every time you want to get together for any reason, when you go to the store, when you go to the grocery store, you see the same people. You go to church, everybody's there. And I'm not even saying that I ever grew up like this, but I know a lot of people that have. And I had the opportunity to kind of grow up in a community like that. But I mean, like everybody else, we grew up in it's broken homes and poverty. That's everywhere in America in that region.
Yeah.
Right.
And my life kind of took a different path, but I know enough people that have stabilized in that American dream aspect of everybody wants the same thing. I want to settle down. I want to live my life. I want to do whatever the hell I want to do. If I want kids, let me have kids. If I don't want to have kids, mind your business.
Yeah, right.
That's America. And
That's a great commercial for rural areas in America.
Yeah.
Right there, what you just said.
Yeah. Just go. Look,
Man, that makes me want to go
just
rural.
hard enough to give you like 10, 20 acres of land and put up a bunch of fences.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
like,
I'm a little bit different. You know, I love the city, but I'm also from city, you know, like I grew up in, you know, LA. So like, I've always been around the city. I don't want to, you know, have to drive 30 minutes to get to a Walmart, you know what I'm saying?
no,
But,
and
you
there's a
there's-
cultural and artistic aspect of the city that you do not have in the there's
And,
pluses
yeah,
and minuses
definitely.
for everything.
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, cool. Let's go ahead and hop into some topics.
Okay.
So
Did you share my responses with him, with Hendricks?
I didn't, no.
Okay.
But I sent him some stuff
Yeah.
for what we're going to be talking about today. But
Okay.
but yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the ruling in Tennessee that just happened, and also about the voter rights that were stripped away by the Supreme Court.
Well, nobody's
for the first time
voting
since
rights
the-
were
the
stripped
60s.
away. Nobody's voting rights were stripped away.
They were. They
Nobody's
was
voting
changed.
rights.
Things were
Everybody that could
changed.
vote last year can now vote.
Things
Everybody
were
that could vote last
changed.
year can vote this year.
Things were changed, but let me set this up.
What
and then
was
we'll
changed?
get into it.
Well,
get into
your
it.
wording was very, very sneaky there.
We're also going to be talking about the Hantavirus. We'll be talking about, is this the next COVID? A lot of people are scared. A lot of people have been talking about this. Trump also said something about this. I think I have a clip for that. I'll try to play that. And then lastly, we'll be talking about white privilege. Does it exist still in America? I'm very interested in that discussion. Hopefully we have enough time to get into everything. But let's start off with the ruling in Tennessee. I have this clip that I'm going to play from Don Lemon. Okay. It's just, for me, it's easy to just play this and then we can sort of go into it. But
was Rachel Maddow? You couldn't find a Rachel Maddow clip? You went with Don Lemon?
I know.
Jesus.
A shameful display of racism and voter suppression, with the legislature there voting to really restrict the voting accessibility to African Americans in that state. A state that has a pretty big African American population. There is no longer an African American majority district in the state. They voted to redraw all of those lines, and there's no longer a Democratic majority in the state as well. The interesting thing is, you may say, well, that's how it works. That's how everyone does it. Lawmakers were smiling, walking down the stairs today after the vote, smiling and laughing at protesters who were outraged. And also ignorant. At least one of them,
outraged
chanting Trump, Trump, Trump.
Yeah.
We have
All right. So a lot of people have been having a lot of different opinions about this.
How much
a lot of people are a little outraged. But, you know, I think that it's interesting, especially for a lot of these southern cities right now. They're going to be redrawing these districts and basically getting rid of what it seems like, you know, the majority of like the, you know, minority, you know, voices when it comes to politics.
So did you just say that it seems like that? You didn't just say that as a fact, did you? I mean, you're saying that it seems like it.
They're
or something?
redrawing these
everything
districts.
You just said is horse shit.
They're redrawing these districts. That's what's happening.
They are.
And so people who had a voice,
but I mean,
minorities
at what
who
point
had
do you want to pause and get specific about any of this stuff? Because when you say you're redrawing the districts, let's talk about what that is, what that means.
Okay. This is a fact.
Yeah.
This thing that they had in place that's no longer in place was in there since the 60s and the voting rights bill. Okay. So that is true. All right. And the Supreme Court overthrew that.
Well,
okay.
So,
do you know
in
do you know
1965.
specifically what we're talking about that was overthrew? Or do you?
Hey, educate us. Go ahead. What do you?
Well, I don't. Why do I have to be the encyclopedia?
No, go ahead.
I want it. You're talking about.
ahead.
You're stating these things.
You're bringing
fact.
You're bringing this up. Go ahead.
No, you just brought it up.
No,
what do you mean? I'm bringing this up.
Well,
I'm asking for the
you're trying to
factual underlying objective reality.
You're trying to get
that
very
is giving
specific.
birth to your perspective.
Go ahead.
That's
You're
what
trying
I'm
to get
asking.
very specific with it. So tell us what's up.
Yeah. So I have to educate you.
All right,
Okay,
good.
so I'm going to give you my understanding. How about that?
Okay.
Because I am not an expert. I know a little bit about a lot. And everything I say that you think is like, wow, that's interesting, you have to look this up. I'm not going to be responsible for you being ignorant, okay?
All right.
Because if you throw anything I say in somebody else's face, don't come back at me hollering, because I'm going to say right now, educate me. Yeah. Make me stupid. I feel stupid. That's good. I want you to make me feel stupid, so I'm not stupid anymore. I don't want to be stupid.
All right.
Having said that, nothing was repealed. The Voting Rights Act is, first of all, there is no such thing as a black congressional district. There is no such thing as a black political party in America.
By the way, I didn't say that. I said minority.
I know you didn't.
Go ahead.
Okay. Right. Do you want me to specifically address Don Lemon's quote?
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, because this whole thing is based on horseshit. It's based on a subjective perception of objective reality that is not tied to the facts, which is what you are talking about is partisan political actions. You have two political parties in this country, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. The Republican Party is doing something to maximize their political power, which by its nature is going to take away political party powers from the Democrats. That's how it works. Democrats do the same thing to Republicans. That's what this migrant invasion's about, by the way, is Democrats trying to prop up their declining political power. That's all of this shit is. They have fooled so many Americans to associate their identity group Marxism with their political party and also their character and their community. It's all become ingrained together so that we are fighting for this abstract concept of fairness. We're not even talking about justice anymore, because justice requires blanket equality across all racial lines, across all identity groups. We're not even talking about that anymore. We're talking about social justice. And if you look at the root meaning of the word social, it means associated with groups. Group justice is a Marxist concept. That's not something that exists in nature. Okay? It's tribalism, and the multiculturalism of America is a part of this conversation as well. But we need to start with the abstract facts, right? Which is that the Voting Rights Act was not repealed. It was interpreted in a way that says you cannot draw a congressional district based on race, based on increasing the political power of a race, is not a justification for drawing a All what they said.
And that was taken away, right? That was taken away.
What was taken away?
So all right, it's gerrymandering.
Yes.
Pretty much that's what it is.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act protected majority, minority. When we say minority, who are we talking about? You or me? You're talking about me.
Well,
You're not talking about you.
You're not a minority in America.
If we're talking about legal terms, you need to get much more specific than that. Majority and minority what? Majority and minority what?
So it made it illegal to dilute black voting power. It made it illegal to dilute black voting, and that's exactly what they did.
No,
that's gerrymandering.
It made it illegal to implement mechanisms that were designed to dilute black voting power.
Yes.
You cannot use the government to increase or lower the political power of a race. That's what the Voting Rights Act did. It said, hey, white people, you cannot design your elections, your mechanisms of conducting your elections in a way that is designed to increase the political power of a race and decrease the political power of another race. That's what the Voting Rights Act did.
With gerrymandering, that's exactly what they did.
Gerrymandering is associated with political parties and not race. Political
all
parties.
you're doing is rewording it.
No.
You're trying to shift.
You are associating race with political parties. Okay. I am not doing that. You are.
It don't matter how you say it.
I have a question. Why was that put into place in the first place? Why was the Voting Acts put into place in the first place?
Because of generational atrocities and racism
against
black Americans.
Okay.
Chattel slavery.
Okay.
Jim Crow. I mean, do you want to talk about? Because I'm not going to lecture
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
I'm asking you because
I'm not going to lecture y'all on Black American history.
He answered it.
Yeah, you answered the question. And so now when they take a segment from that and they are starting to take it away, with the context, wait a minute,
nothing has been taken away.
With the context of what you just told me, what did you say? Why was it put in place again?
Because of historical racism and how would you want to simplify that?
No,
atrocities,
go ahead.
Historical
keep
racial
going.
atrocities. Historical racial atrocities.
So now, if somebody starts to take segments away,
nothing has been taken away.
It is
what has
political
been taken
power.
away?
You said it yourself.
From who? From
political
who?
From the minority.
Power.
It has been taken away.
There is nothing in the law that has done
Hold
that.
on.
Here's what is happening. You are arguing that the results
I'm taking your
correlate
words.
with the intention.
All right, hold
up.
up.
You are arguing that the results dictate your subjective perspective.
Let's go back to
those
your
results.
Words. These were your words.
Fact.
These were your words. You were talking about how it was
political.
No, that's me. Political power.
It's okay if you mute me. Dude.
You're saying that no way. No, I actually muted myself. I brought myself down a little bit. Political power, okay, is no longer. You can't segment it, right? That's what you were basically saying.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Why can't you?
No, you were just saying that. So now they're starting to take away political power away from the minorities.
No, nobody's doing that.
And now they're going to redraw these districts through gerrymandering so that the majority, the people who already have the majority, are now going to be able to have a bigger majority. They're going to be able to have a bigger segment of power.
Do you understand why these
terms? So you have to understand these things.
When you say majority and minority, what are you talking about? Are you talking about race or are you talking about voters?
We're talking about minorities. You know what minorities mean.
I know it's a term that
What's a minority?
Right now in this room,
what's a minority?
I am a minority. True or false? True or false? True or false? Factual statement.
By the way,
factual statement. Right now,
this
in
is
this
how
room,
people twist
I am a minority.
things.
Yeah, that's
wordplay. Is this not a factual statement?
That's
no, let's talk about the meaning of words.
You would make
the objective reality that unites us.
You would make a great lawyer. You would make a phenomenal
I ain't doing all that
lawyer.
School, man. I looked
you
into
would make
it.
a phenomenal lawyer.
I looked into it, and I'm like,
you.
I am not doing all that school, man.
Yeah, you would make a great lawyer.
Well, thank you.
I'm telling you.
But no, right? The term minority and majority.
But
I understand what it means. I'm saying, are we talking about racial groups or are we talking about voters? These things matter because we are not talking about a racial issue. We are talking about a political issue that has been sold to people as racial. It is not racial.
But let me ask you what's
it is being used to mobilize the emotional factions of democracy.
Let me ask
to
you
prop up corrupt politicians.
I have another question. So what is going to happen now that this has been changed? What's going to happen? Is the minorities? No. What's it? I just want you to talk. Go ahead.
What's going to say? 9 Republicans, 0 Democrats. Right.
Boom.
Black Memphis loses federal representation. Tennessee Republicans gain a seat. Trump's White House gets one step closer to keeping the House majority in November's midterms.
Okay, do you want to go back to the beginning? Tell me the first few issues you were talking about. There's 9 things jammed all together. Is that a headline?
I know we were talking about a lot of different things, but
that's that's what so the Tennessee congressional delegate goes from 8. That's what I should start with. From
these are facts, right?
Those are facts.
Give me the facts.
Went from 8 Republicans to 1 Democrat. Now there's 9 Republicans, 0 Democrats.
Yep.
Right. So he was saying,
which part of what you just said is racial? Which part of what you just said is racial?
Because
that's what I need to understand.
Let me define it, right? Because Memphis is predominantly black.
I understand.
No. Deliberately targeted.
But I'm specific. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And I'm not trying to be an asshole.
No.
I specifically said you are being very, very specific with facts. Mm-hmm. We went from 7 Republican, 8 Republican districts and 1 Democrat to now it's going to be 9 and 0.
9 and 0.
Which part of that is racial?
Because black Memphis loses federal representation. It loses straight federal representation. And Memphis is predominantly a black city. Exactly. And it was one of the only Democratic cities.
We have to
in
be-
Can you
Tennessee.
understand? Can
We
you
have to
understand?
be honest about what's going
Yeah.
on.
Okay, now I'm trying to help you see it from this perspective. Are you ready?
I understand that people can twist it and they can say, well, Memphis.
What you call twisting is called subjective perspective.
Memphis is just
I am
Memphis.
sharing a perspective.
There's
with
not a
Yes.
majority black
Doesn't
people
mean it's
in
right.
Memphis.
It's like
I'm trying to
alternative
help you
facts.
understand.
It's like
Insane.
Memphis is just Memphis. There's not
Exactly.
a majority black people there, and there's
I
not,
have no idea if there is.
It-
I don't know
it
anything
is-
about
it
it.
is
I'm trying to
majority
help you
black.
understand the
Memphis
objective
is a
reality
majority
of the
black
facts that
city.
you are describing.
yeah.
The facts that you just told me. I'm trying to help y'all understand that. I had no idea anything about Memphis.
To me, it's
What-
specifically is targeted.
It is.
And
not-
what's going to
It
happen
is
in
not
our
tar-
state? The
just
state.
because you associate
Wait a minute, let me finish,
your
let me finish,
race
let me
with
finish.
a political party
This
does
state-
not mean that partisan political actions are racial. Just because you do
I'm
that,
just going
or
off
you
of-
do that, or anyone else does that, or any group of people does that, does not mean that partisan political actions are racial.
Okay, let me
Because
finish.
you choose to see that, or you choose to see that, does not make it reality. Just because you perceive the results as being indicative of intent or conspiratory, that does not make it so. Because that's the objective reality that is not just. I don't really know y'all well enough to know if you're telling me this or not.
Yeah.
But the pushback that comes from this, it's the weaponization of empathy based on a biased history of
But
America.
it's just
In
straight
order
up
to
facts.
shut
Yeah,
down
these are
political
facts.
disagreement based on white guilt.
I understand. Listen, I can twist things around any type
I'm
of way I
not
want
twisting
to.
anything. I'm not denying
The
anything
facts
that you've
are
said
facts.
with the facts.
Hold on,
I'm not
let me
denying any of
let me
that.
talk
Go
real
ahead.
quick.
Go
Let me
ahead.
talk.
Yes.
What's going to happen is these communities are no longer going to have a representative representing them.
Why not?
And what's going to happen is there will be no more black people who in
Right.
Congress because of these actions, okay? And
Is it
the
possible
reason
that they
why
lost
wait a minute, let me
representation
finish because I
their-
let you finish. I let
their
you talk a lot.
politics broke
I'll
their
let you talk a
governance?
lot. Hold on,
Right,
let me
right.
finish. Now we are going to have a moment where all those people are going to be gone, and these rights that were put into place in the 1965 bill
That's not a reality that
are
happens.
going to go away.
That's not a reality
And
that happens.
why are they doing this? Why
It's
are
not a
they
reality
putting
that happens.
this
You're
together?
being alarmist.
No, this is
Yeah.
the truth.
No.
To
All right,
stay
no,
in power.
You're
Let me-
not, hold on.
Stay
You
in
Wait a
just,
minute.
hold
No, no,
on.
it's
You
a
gave
fact.
a version
It's a
of
fact
the
that the
future and
Democratic-
said it's the truth.
The Democratic guy just got taken out, right?
Yeah,
His
yeah.
district just got
Who?
redrawn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So he is no
You talking
longer
about,
there.
I'll
And
take
tell
That
me why that
a
is not
fact.
indicative
Now,
of a
it's,
broke
let
me-
Democratic political
Give me
party.
1 second. Let me talk about this. In South Carolina,
Representative Steve
here,
Cohen.
yes,
He just lost his
in
district-
South
district
Carolina
9.
here, it's going to be redrawn as well.
Yeah, they're talking
And
about
we are going to lose Clyburn,
Mhm.
okay? Here locally in South
race
Carolina.
Was his
He is
district
a black
drawn because
man.
of race?
It's going to
They are
be
talking about
redrawn.
redrawn.
Was it drawn because of race?
It was put in because of we needed a person to represent us.
Okay,
That's
so
why
wait,
these
wait.
things were put
was
into
his
place.
district drawn specifically
So-
for the
so-
purpose
so-
You
of
yourself,
increasing the political power of a race?
you yourself.
I don't know
just
the I don't know
told
the
me-
answer to this question. I'm
But look,
asking
Why,
the
listen,
question.
why was the civil rights put into place? Why was the voting rights put into place? Because of what?
What does that have to do with the question?
And
I
it's-
just
no,
asked?
you're
and
the
then why,
educated
why,
Why
if
does
that's
one
the
thing
case,
have to
why
be
is it
conflated
only
with the other?
why is it only targeting these black cities with these black
Exactly.
districts? Why is it only targeting that? When you say it has nothing to do with race,
Just because the
Why is it
Democratic
only
Party has
targeting that?
associated their political
Can you
power
answer
with
the
race
question,
does
please?
not make
answer the question.
politically biased political action racial. That's not
Answer
what
the-
that means. Just because the
Why
Democratic
is it
Party has
only
sold people on the
targeting
idea
black
that
cities?
you can't
Why
oppose Democrats
is it
without being
Why is it
racist.
only
black
targeting
cities?
black
Why is it
cities?
only targeting
Because black
cities?
people support Democrats, right?
Okay.
So
right?
that's why they only target
Right?
black cities.
Right?
That's
Is that
why.
racist to say that, or is that
What?
prejudicial or discriminatory?
No, I know some black
biased?
Republicans. I know some.
I
Black
know some black
Republicans.
Republicans too.
But
Yeah,
in
yeah.
majority, a lot of blacks are
But
Democrats.
is that's a generalized statement, right?
Mhm.
To say black people support Democrats.
yeah.
Can we say that?
Why do black people support Democrats?
That's a American history. You want to have a long conversation?
No,
We
no, no,
can.
no, 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 no.
We can.
Just we don't have to go too far back in
It
history.
goes back to the New Deal.
Why?
It goes back to Jacksonian democracy.
Okay.
It goes back to the the Southern strategy with Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
It goes all the way through the Civil Rights era. It goes
And
through the Reagan
you
era.
You can tell me that the Republicans, they weren't for the
No,
KKK and all of these other things, and how the Republicans. We can go on and on and on about that. I'm just asking, in the most recent history, why do Democrats...
you keep bringing up old history if you'd only want to talk about the recent history?
Well, we have to talk about... We're talking about context of what's happening. Rights were stripped away, no matter how much you want to twist it. That happened in 1965.
I understand.
For the first time since 1965, those rights are taken away.
No, they're not. Nothing has been taken away. You keep saying that. Nothing has been taken away. What has been taken away? If you want to talk about the specific congressional district, that was taken away.
Districts. Yes, that's
that
what I'm
was
talking about.
Is that what you're talking about?
That's
what was taken away?
You know what I'm talking about. Okay. Come on now.
Well, no, because you're talking about the political power of a race being taken away. That's what you're talking about.
After every 10 years in a census, are they redrawing these districts earlier than 10 years?
That's a long conversation too. Do you want to talk about it?
No, I'm just asking a quick question because I know after every 10 years you're supposed to they redraw. But I don't think it has been 10 years. This is important information
too. But no, in the Constitution, we are mandated to count everybody every 10 years. We have to do the census.
And that's when you redraw the maps.
That's where the 3/5 compromise.
It hasn't been 10 years yet.
But there's nothing that says the states have to wait until the census.
Then it's just gerrymandering. It's pretty much just gerrymandering.
Well, yes.
That's what it is.
Once you understand what that term means, every state does gerrymander.
It's gerrymandering.
All I know
all
is that
the states are gerrymandered. That's what you need to. It's just who is gerrymandering.
All I know is that this is going to continue to happen, and people are going to continue to twist. Nothing has happened.
You still haven't established that anything has happened. Nothing has happened.
The
only thing that's happened is that Democrats have lost political legitimacy because their political positions have run cities into the gutter, and Americans have fled.
Did Tennessee
and
not
now they have to import these sanctuary cities, and it's not enough to support their legitimacy anymore. They don't have the fundraising.
Let's stay with this question. Did Tennessee not just redraw the district that was majority minority over there in Memphis?
Majority or minority?
Did they not?
Majority and minority.
No,
what?
That's
You're not
the
going to give me
the question.
No.
Did it not redraw
racial
it?
or political?
You said,
oh my
racial
God.
or political?
You
majority
said nothing
Democrats?
happened.
Majority Democrats or
I'm
majority black?
You're a dodger.
Majority.
You said
No,
nothing
I'm asking you.
He's a dodger.
I'm asking the meaning of the question.
He's a
By
dodger.
the way, I love
You
this.
can't explain.
This is great.
You can't explain your question.
This dude is a dodger. Oh my God. Boy,
What is dodging? I'm asking
lawyer,
the meaning of the words
Was
that you
the
are
district
using.
of
How is
Memphis
that
not
dodging anything?
redrawn in Tennessee?
Majority, minority, what?
Listen,
Majority-
was the district not redrawn in Memphis?
Go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dude, if this dude was a criminal defense attorney,
Well,
I would hire him.
He's going
so
politician on us.
I would hire him. I want him.
Was the district not redrawn? Was the district
in
not
Tennessee?
Yeah, in Tennessee.
Yes.
Was the
It was redrawn in Tennessee. It was redrawn in Texas. It was redrawn in Virginia.
Boom.
I don't know what they're doing
and it's
in
going to be
Louisiana.
redrawn. It's going to be
Louisiana's
redrawn in
next.
South Carolina.
Alabama and
And
Louisiana.
here's the warning to anybody
wait a
that
minute.
honors
So
racial
something did happen.
politics.
So
If your
something
congressional
did happen.
district has been drawn on the
Something
basis
did
of
happen.
race, you might lose your political voting power.
So
Because Americans do not draw their government power based on race.
now
Welcome
something's
to
just
America.
happened.
That's
not
what
true.
equal justice under the law means.
Okay, so
You do
something
not
did
get to
happen.
associate your race with your politics
That's not true.
and then get pissed off
Because-
when your political opponents take your political power away from you for reasons that have nothing to do with race. That's based on your perception. If you want to see your politics of being associated with your race,
if it was not
Okay,
based
let's
on
let's
race,
hear Hendricks.
if it was not based on race, we would never need the Voting Act passed.
I'm not saying that it.
1965.
Listen,
if it was
I'm not
never
coming
based
down
on
on
race,
any of your
we wouldn't need the
opinions.
Voting Rights Act.
I'm not coming down on it.
So
You are
then,
an American.
once they
You can
redraw
believe
the
whatever you
district,
want.
you will have a representation who does not look like you, who does not, like you said earlier, in your atmosphere, who does not walk the same walk. They don't know what you need because they come from another place of privilege. They may live in Memphis, but they may live on the hill. So you don't have nobody who is like you, who represents you and know exactly what you need.
and you can twist it and turn it and try to
You keep
change it
saying
any
that
way
shit,
that you
man,
want
and
to.
you gonna piss me off. I ain't
This
twisted
is what
nothing.
happened.
You ain't pissing me off. I'm bringing some heat to your podcast.
Yeah,
man. You ain't
no, I
pissing me
love
off.
this. This is great. This is what we needed.
yeah,
This
But
is what
I ain't twisting nothing.
Don't leave him
I ain't
hanging.
twisting shit. You ain't get me on that. I'm giving you the objective reality of my perception. And I accept
Right.
my perception is
Hey,
biased.
yeah,
So is
yeah,
yours. So is yours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, that's what bias is. But
Listen.
I'm telling you right now,
That's your take.
I
That's your
support
take,
all
yeah.
of the shit that y'all are opposing here. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it ain't got shit to do with race. It's about the broken fucking politics of Democrats. I can't I've said this, I don't know if you heard me or not. There is not a bigger threat to the Constitution right now than the fucking Democrats.
That's
I'm
wrong.
sorry, I'm that dude.
That's
So-
wrong.
so-
Are you serious?
Yes.
Can we talk about how Trump
Yes.
and all the different things that he's
Yes.
doing and how he's gotten to a point where he's made.
I ain't crazy about Trump.
Hold
neither,
up,
to be
wait a
clear.
minute. No. Let me finish. He's gotten to a point where he's made his supporters change their ideas about the Constitution
Yep.
to a point where they're like, well, what is the Constitution? They're questioning the Constitution because of Trump.
That I
Yeah.
stood for in the
Exactly.
If you think there's
And
anybody in
the
either party that
different
gives a fuck about the Constitution of the
The
United States, I
things
got a
that
bridge
he's
to sell you.
doing.
If you think anybody that is asking for your fucking vote in Congress or the presidency, or hey,
No.
I'll let you
Wait a
decide
minute.
down at the local and
You
state
brought
level.
up the Constitution.
But I'm gonna tell you,
just-
there ain't
but
nobody
also-
that gives a fuck about the Constitution.
I will say
Not
this.
on either side.
You
And
know-
any motherfucker that tells you they
8 years ago, I
Hey,
don't know if you would say that.
Until they
I
prove
will say
otherwise.
this. Now I
Trump,
do think
Trump makes y'all
I
think
do
that
think
way.
I me personally
Well, who the fuck
I
you
do
telling
think
me what I think?
Because Trump is making y'all feel that way.
Who the fuck is y'all?
I feel like
Who the fuck is y'all?
Trump supporters.
I'm me. I
Trump
ain't
supporters.
none of y'all.
He's a
Trump fans.
I'm me. You want to know what I think? You got to ask me.
All right, hold up. Let's
But
wait.
bro,
Let's
back-
because we got to move on.
On the
But-
Democrat, I will say this. I do think the Democratic Party. I do think the Democratic Party is weak. I will go on record saying I do think they're very weak. But we always our debt was budgeted under Democratic president. No, I'm saying they haven't done some effed up stuff.
The
Say
debt
that
was
again.
balanced.
The debt was balanced
Yeah.
under
Get the
Democratic
fuck outta
president.
here with that.
And
There
your
ain't been a president
and your
in-
cities,
Clinton?
Get the fuck out of it.
The
last
yeah,
time
yeah,
the
nobody
budget
gave
was
a shit
balanced.
about
and your
Let him finish.
cities
Let him finish.
and your
Nobody give a fuck about
city,
the debt.
your most educated and lowest unemployment rate is under Democratic. Was always under Democratic cities and not Republican.
Can we
cities.
agree that America is a lot better than it used to be in every way?
For who?
Everyone.
No bullshit.
Who? Name
Bullshit.
one. Name one.
Bullshit.
Name one group.
Bullshit. You looking at it? It ain't better
From
for
which
us.
time in history?
When was America ever great for us?
Hold on. I'm asking for you specifically.
For
Listen,
me,
yes,
me.
Okay.
When was it ever
Do
great
you
for me?
think that you
Never.
had? Hold on. Let me ask you a question real
Go
quick.
ahead, go ahead,
Let me
go
ask you a question.
Go ahead.
And maybe in your lifetime it might be different. I don't know.
My
How
life-
old are you?
My mama, my great, I'm 51.
Hold on. You 50. Okay, so
Yeah.
we right around that same age. I'm 45. All right. So let's say our lifetime excluded. Before our lifetime, has there ever been a minority group inside of a broader society that has had more advancement in rights and equality than Black Americans have had since the founding of the country? So if you're 45 and I'm 50, so let's say right up until 1975, right after the let's end it at the Civil Rights Act. Let's just say the 60s, because I think there's a housing bill that came in after the Civil Rights Act or something. Okay. From chattel slavery, the 3/5 compromise, to federally mandated equality, the president sent in the 101st Airborne to enforce desegregation in Arkansas. Y'all know that story too, right? When the local and state Democrats said, no, we will not allow Black students, we will not desegregate.
Yeah.
The president said, 101st Airborne, bayonets fixed, live rounds. Yes, you will desegregate. They sent in the 101st Airborne. So let's say from chattel slavery to there, in the history of the human species, has there ever been an example of a more swift or more successful advancement of rights for a minority group inside of a broader society? Does that make sense? I said a lot of shit, but does that make sense? Okay. Do you think there's ever been another example like that has been better than Black Americans in America?
That who had to fight for their rights?
No, I'm talking
little
now.
that
I'm
we
talking
do
about
have?
objective reality. Look at it from the standpoint of an alien who is examining all of human history, and they look down and they see the story of Black Americans from the inception of the Constitution until 1975 as a minority group living in a broader, multicultural society.
I want to answer your question,
like Rome and a few others.
I want to answer your question, but don't interrupt me. Okay, let me talk.
Yep, gotcha.
All right. The reason why there had to be an advancement for Black people was because we were 3/5 of a person. Let me finish. Okay. When Europeans were coming over from other countries, they were already white, a lot of them. And so there wasn't as much of a advancement needed for them. Okay. They had privilege. Okay. Especially a lot of these people were coming over and they were already free. They didn't need to be freed. Okay. They weren't on a plantation. All right. Not only that, America, all right, was giving them privileges over other people. Okay. Giving them all types of things, loans and different things of that nature that Black people weren't privy to. Okay. And it was a lot of it. I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of it was due to their race. Okay. And not only that, when I think about, after World War II and what America did for Jewish people. Okay. And the different rights that they were given, they were, looked at, even though a lot of them, some of them, when they were coming over, weren't even Americans. They had more rights than Black people did at the time.
Because they were.
Okay. Just because of the skin color of who they were. We were 3/5.
Well, I mean, do you want me to respond?
Don't forget
to any
that.
Of this,
So
or
yes.
Yes. Well, you told me not
wait
to
a minute.
interrupt
Wait a minute.
you.
No. Wait a minute. Yes. There was a lot of advancements that were made and different things that were made for Black people, but because we came for so low, we started way down here. And yes,
do you think that
yes,
is that a disagreement with what I said, or is that an agreement?
I'm partly agreeing with you, but we came from so far.
Can we both be right?
Yeah, hold on, wait a minute.
Can we both be right?
We came from so far.
Yeah.
For when you start thinking about some of the other people that were coming from Europe, they didn't have to come from that far down. They were considered right here, maybe even, right on the same level.
Okay.
We weren't considered that. And to this day, people are still trying to do these things. And so, yeah. So anyways, go ahead.
Well, I would like to go back to where we agree.
We're not going to get to everything.
So we can at least try to establish where we agree. Can we both be right? Can we both be right? Can we both listen to me?
I threw you a little bit of bone there.
That ain't fucking throwing me shit. Listen, objective. I want to fucking share American history with my fellow Americans who happen to be Black.
I want to share American history
everything
too,
you just fucking said.
We got to be honest about American history.
You can fucking agree with what I just said.
I agreed with part of it. Yeah.
Which part did you not agree with?
I can't remember what all I said just now. But
I can. You explained very thoroughly the journey of Black Americans throughout history and why we needed the civil rights. I'm listening to you.
I think what you were trying to get to was
that. Why the fuck should I? If you ain't gonna listen to me when I get my perspective, why the fuck should I listen?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm saying you can't summarize my position, so why should I listen to your position?
By the way, I've been.
Tell me what I believe about that.
A lot of times I've been quiet. So I've been letting you talk.
I told you I was going to bring the fire. You wasn't ready for this.
I'll let you talk. No, I love this. This
Tell
is
me
amazing.
my perspective. We've been talking about this now for how long? Tell me what I believe.
What you were trying to do was you were trying to frame it. No, hold on.
Yeah.
Well, you wanted me to tell you what I thought that you said.
Trying to do. Yeah, go ahead.
You wanted me to do this. By the way that you were framing that question, you were saying, has America done much for any of these other minorities as much as they've done for Black people? It's like the way that you were
that's
trying to
not what I
phrase it.
said. That's not
All
what I
right,
said.
what were you trying to say then?
See, well,
Go ahead.
let me explain why you just said what you
Okay.
just said.
All right,
Because why you just said what you just said is because you perceive
Okay.
the world through these oppressor and oppression narratives
No,
that
no,
are
no.
associated with every time somebody talks about America, why things are the way they are in America now. It
Okay.
has to be framed through a historical context that explains an oppression and an oppressor narrative, because that's the way that you view your politics. It's Marxist ideology that has been passed down through generations.
Let's stay with this though.
Of progressive nonsense.
Let's stay with this. Let's not talk about Marxism because that's different.
What were we even fucking talking about?
I
man?
forgot.
You were saying
should move
that-
on.
You were talking about 3/5 of a person.
You were
and
saying pretty much like America's great.
no,
like it's great
what I'm
again,
saying,
and
no,
stuff.
I'm asking an objective question. First of all, America is motherfucking great. It's the best goddamn. Sorry about the cussing.
Hey, that's one
It's the
thing
best
I
country
agree
that
with.
has
America-
ever existed
America
in
is
the
great.
history of the world.
You're not going
America's
to get me
great.
to say anything bad about
America's
America.
great.
Yeah, but what
think-
I was saying was, regardless, you know, I didn't want to talk about the objective reality of the discrimination of the prejudice that happens today, yet I was trying to establish an objective reality that we could share and agree that in 1975,
Yes.
50 years old, right? So 1975, 1970 was 74, 1974, okay? That the civil rights and the level of equality and opportunity and legally mandated protections in place for Black Americans represented the highest level of achievement for a minority group inside of a broader society. That they were given equality. I'm talking about, excuse me, goodness. And I'll have to get me some water.
Yeah,
here in
yeah. At
just a
some
minute.
point we could take a. Yeah.
But I'm asking, think about the Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Byzantine Empire. Think about any of these places or these nations that. Hold on just a second.
Okay,
I
no,
said-
I didn't say
Go ahead.
anything. All I did was point at you. Go ahead.
Why the fuck you pointing to me? What the fuck?
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, make
Go
your
ahead.
point.
Why you
Make your-
pointing at me,
Make
man?
your point. Make your point.
But I'm saying that these multicultural societies, which is what America is supposed to be, these multicultural societies that have to deal with these different identity group issues throughout history, that's usually been solved by caste systems. That the conquered people, they were the slaves. They were the people that, even when they were freed, they didn't have the same rights as everybody else.
Right.
Because there was this higher level of, there was no blanket equality across all tribes, across all genders. Can we agree that from chattel slavery to 1975 America with the Civil Rights Act in place, that level of advancement is more than any other minority group inside of a broader multicultural society to ever exist? Can we agree about that?
I think I understand what he's I believe, if I may.
Let him
Please.
finish.
I think he's trying to say, like, from where we started, supposedly, a little, to where we are now, it was a great feat and achievement, right? Is that? I get what you're saying. So, all right, now to what he said, now to what I say to that. And
Can you agree with that?
I agree. Yeah,
Can you
that's a
agree with
great
that?
feat.
Yeah.
But now let me tell you what.
Agreement.
Now let me tell you what Black America feels
Today.
about that
Yeah.
today. Every time we take 2 steps, we have to take 3 steps back.
How?
Because
Let him
hold on, let me
finish.
finish.
Yeah.
The gerrymandering, for one, we not getting represented, getting representation, right? We need people who look like us to represent us, because people who look like us and who walk in our shoes, they know what we need. I'm not a rural person like you. I can't come down to the rural area and say I'm gonna hold a town meeting, right? Only way I can know what you need is to be amongst you and actually come down there and talk with you. They're not going to do that because you already look down on the minority anyway. So why I need to stoop down to your level to represent you? No, I'm going to tell you what you need, and this is what you're going to get. And what you're going to get is what I ordained for you to have. We are missing that representation, right? True, yeah, there was a great feat of where we come from and where we are now, but yet a lot of us are still struggling. And then honestly, and it ain't your fault. I don't expect you to really
I'm not
get
taking
it.
responsibility. Hey,
Yeah,
there is
no,
and
put it like this.
I'm listening to
Hold on,
every
hold on,
verse.
hold on,
There's
let me-
no
let me-
such thing as racial
Let me
responsibility.
finish.
Yeah.
Because
I'm listening
you
to
don't
everything.
you don't walk in our shoes. You
Yeah.
don't your scope is not our scope.
Yeah.
You don't walk in my lens.
Yeah.
So obviously
I'll never know
you
what
don't
it is to
you
be a
yeah
black
you
man in
you,
America.
you don't know. You don't know, right? So let's deem it to this. Let's say, I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say, right, it's a table with the king. You eat at that table all the time. You might not sit next to him, but you at that table. Me and him, we eat outside. We have to eat outside every time, right? Now we don't get to the point where now we inside, but we not at your table. We way in the back at a smaller table. But then we say, but you the only one who speak to us. And we say to you like, dang, man, you guys eating good over there. And you're like, man, bro, relax. I mean, hell, you was outside. At least you inside now.
Can I
Accept
use,
that.
Can I
Wait a
use your
minute, let me
metaphor to explain?
But listen, that's what it's
Okay.
like.
Can I-
You're inside the house. At least you're not outside eating in the rain. At least you're inside. But yeah, we're at a smaller table. We don't got all the fixings like you have at the big table, right? But now we're inside. Eventually, we don't even try to. Some of us may try to get to your table, and if we do get to your table, it's a long table. We're at the end of the table, right? Even if we make it there, only one or two, we still not eating everything you're eating, right? We may get our own table, eventually a slightly bigger table. That's what it's like for Black
And
America.
then now with this,
Can I respond
with
to
this
that?
thing,
I want to use that metaphor.
I know, I'm still on
because
this
it's a great
metaphor.
I want to use that metaphor.
now with that metaphor, now they're trying to put us back outside and on the
Exactly.
table,
nobody's
and that's
doing
what's
that.
happening.
Nobody's
But
doing
Go
that.
ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's imagine in your scenario that proximity to the king is political power, right? Is that what we're talking about? And the people who sit around the king are based on the level of good ideas they have, how much education they have, how much experience, how much wisdom they have. Just stay with me. Don't try to tie it into a race thing.
By the way, we
stay
let you talk.
Go ahead. Stay into the abstract level of a thought experiment. Okay, suspend all your biases and your prejudices. Okay, let's talk about. Okay, so the people who sit next to the king are the most powerful people in the land. Okay, now inside this culture that we have, nobody likes the redheaded kids. Okay, so when you have a redheaded kid, you start throwing these redheaded kids out into the wilderness, and they either die or they don't die, right? And then eventually the redheaded kids start finding each other, and they have little redheaded kid communities over there. And in the redheaded kid communities, they grow up and they're just regular people like you and me. And over time, the people associate the redheaded kid communities with the people that the kings didn't want. All of the wise people that sit next to the king that they don't really want.
Right.
Okay. But eventually they break down all the barriers and they realize that, hey man, there's a lot of smart fucking redheads over here. It's not a thing about the color of your hair. It don't mean shit. Okay. All it's got to do is, all you gotta have somebody teach you. You go to school and you fucking listen. Guess what? You're going to learn something. If you listen to your dad when he says, hey, don't touch that red hot stove, you learn a lesson about life. And if you get what I'm saying, it develops normally, and you realize that it's not anything to do with being a fucking redhead. It's just some stupid fucking cultural thing that we have. Right. And eventually more and more redheaded people start entering the tent and sitting closer to the king, and they gain more political power. And as they're gaining more political power, some of the other people might not like that, and they might start changing the values of the metrics that we use to say who is the smartest and who should be sitting next to the king, even though they are not intended, or wait, let me say that differently. Even though they are not overtly exclusionary of the redheads, okay, that's the net effect that it has, that they start asking questions that you wouldn't learn about if you grew up in a redheaded village. Okay, you might not know about the sanitation of the city or the sanitation of the castle or anything like that, right? So when I ask you those questions, it doesn't mean you're stupid. It's just outside of your experience. It's just not something that you would happen to know about based on your life experiences. Okay, and over time, these measures, and they go here and there, and they gain some and then they lose some, and then eventually the politics become so toxic between these people over here who are used to having their political power next to the king and the people over here who have merit, who are trying to get more advanced access to the king. And more this becomes based on the weaponization of the emotions of the people who think they are not getting enough representation in the tent. And they're going to walk up to all of the redheaded villages and say, those people inside of that tent fucking hate you because of your red hair. Look how many people they're letting into that fucking tent. That's bullshit. You and I both know that there's a lot of qualified people that need to be in that fucking tent, and they're not letting people in there. Mm-hmm. Now, how much of that is based on the merit of the people that are trying to get into the tent, and how much of it is based on the political games that are going on between the people with merit on both sides, when their ultimate goal is just to sit close to the king? Mm-hmm. They don't give a fuck about the identity groups. They don't give a fuck about your hair. They don't give a fuck about the tent. They don't give a fuck about anything. The only thing they give a fuck about is the political power that's going to be given to them when they sit closer to the king.
All right, where's your rebuttal to that?
To what he's saying.
Yeah,
that's currently what's going on in the world,
and that's why they can take away a congressional district and it not be about race.
Let him finish. We let you talk for a while there.
So redhead represent Black America, pretty much what he's saying. Yeah. The king, Donald Trump and his administration.
No, that's power.
The power, whatever.
Power.
All right. Well.
The people who telling them who causing conflict, that's the corporations. That's pretty much the structure of America. That's corporations, right? Yeah. That's pretty much what's going on currently right now, right?
That's all of that.
Now, granted, I will say this to you, right? I really wish what he's saying was the actual how it is, where you don't worry about race. I wish it was like how
would you know that? How would you know that it's not?
Because let me finish. Yeah. Because in your analogy, you had to use redhead. So you had to depict a difference between the two people.
Yep.
So therefore, they'll use your redhead to say, oh, go against them because they're redhead. It's the same thing they do in the Black America.
Yeah.
They're using our race. That's why, even though you don't want to admit it's about race, you just use an analogy about race.
I use the analogy about race to show how it can be.
Because that is what is going on.
But this is what's going
on.
You
literally just said it.
And you missed the point.
No,
you missed the entire point of what I just said. You listened to the analogy, but you missed the conclusion.
But you had to use race in order to bring your analogy so we can understand it. That's literally what's going on. Listen to what I'm saying. I get what you're saying. You're saying, look, man, it shouldn't be about that. And dude, I totally 100% agree with you. I don't judge you because you white. You may work just as hard as me or harder than me. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. But the society that we're in does that. They do that. You know, more so for being Black, don't matter what your race is, but you get penalized for being poor in America now.
Classism.
For you being poor, you can't afford legal fees, you can't afford this, you can't do the poor? Did I grow up poor? Mm-hmm. I grew up.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I should not have done that. I should not have done that. No, because your personal experience. Let's keep it abstract.
Yeah.
I don't need to get into that. I'm sorry.
Let him finish though.
Single parent home. My mother's a nurse, so she worked. We weren't considered middle class, but she worked, and then I worked. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's what's going on in society now, right? The same thing that you just said, right? Now, granted, like I said before. Yeah, what you're saying is it shouldn't be, and I totally agree with you. It shouldn't be about that. We shouldn't judge a person of the content of their skin, just the content of the character. But in society we're in, that's just not the norm.
It's just the reality.
It's just the reality.
And we can talk about a lot of different things.
It's not the reality.
And you could talk about propaganda.
But you never want a government oriented around what you're talking about. That's a Nazi government, what you're talking about. The race-based orientation of a generational race debt that sublimates society toward some kind of justice across groups.
But here's the thing. Why do you think that people are talking about race specifically? It's mainly because
there's power and money.
America was born on this stuff.
Exactly. It's woven into society.
Literally in Constitution.
It's the fabric of the
that the white people had more rights.
Do you think there's more to the Constitution, or is it just about racism?
No. Listen, I think that there's a lot of great things in the Constitution.
So when the settlers came over, who could vote and who couldn't vote? You ran for tell me. Who could vote and who couldn't vote?
Oh, are you talking about the settlers? Or are you talking about in the first? Because the Constitution wasn't until 1787. And the states determined voting rights.
I shouldn't say the settlers. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Who could vote and who couldn't vote when the Constitution? Who could vote and who couldn't vote?
On the Constitution?
Who could vote? Well, okay. All right, let me rephrase earlier, right? In order to vote, right, initially, you had to be, and granted, and this is not even poor whites. You had to be a wealthy white man. You had to own land and own slaves.
You had to
No. If you had to own land, and then when you
didn't have to be a white man.
No, yes,
No,
you
No, you didn't.
Native Americans was not under the Constitution. They couldn't vote. As a matter of fact, after slavery got abolished, some of them still had their slaves.
I will bet you $500 that a woman could have voted for George Washington. I'll bet you $500 that a freed black man.
This is how they justify.
Yeah.
Who is they? Who the fuck is they?
A freed
Who the fuck is they?
People who think like that.
Who
Go ahead.
Hey.
Don't put me with nobody. Why you keep doing that?
Pull up.
Don't do that.
Pull up.
Who the fuck is they? You gonna be calling me you people next? God damn it!
All right. Let me.
You know I love you.
like-
You know
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not mad, right?
All right, so this gets to
this.
what we wanted to talk about, right? Does white privilege actually exist?
Well, do we want to move off this subject? Because I ain't
wait a
gonna
minute,
tell you-
wait a minute,
tear
wait a
y'all up
minute,
on the
because I know
Constitution.
exactly where you're gonna go. So you're gonna talk about how
We could have you back.
black
too.
people also still, they could vote and women could vote and all of these other things, right?
Well, first of all,
Most-
those are facts.
Wait a
And
minute.
Those
Yeah,
are facts.
okay.
It's
I'll
not
give it to
something
you.
I'm trying
I'll give it to you. Hold on.
pull off some
Let me
bullshit.
finish.
No.
Let me finish though. So most of the black people, let's say in the 1700s, that were here in America,
We're slaves.
were they slaves or were they
Citizens.
citizens
Slaves.
of America?
Slaves,
Okay.
definitely.
Were slaves allowed to vote?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think that would make much sense.
Were
would it?
slaves considered?
Aren't you technically
Wait a-
property
hold
if
up.
you were
Wait a
chattel
minute, let me
slave? I
finish.
don't think you should. I don't
Let
think
me
you'd be
finish.
able
Because
to
you couldn't
vote.
even
Let me
read.
finish.
It's a great
You
question,
wasn't
though.
allowed to
Were
read.
slaves considered fully human at the time?
Are you talking about legally?
Legally, yeah. Were they considered fully human?
Well, we're talking
No,
from
wait a-
whose perspective?
Were they considered human?
I
We're-
don't know.
we're talking
I don't
about
know
the
the answer to that
Constitution.
question.
We're
I don't
About
know.
the constitutional.
What did the Constitution say?
We're talking about the
Were slaves
the-
considered people?
The
I don't know.
the morals of
You don't know what the
America at the
Constitution said?
time.
The morals of America at the time were the Christian
Constitution.
abolitionists
Hold on.
of Thomas Jefferson.
Were they
And-
considered slaves though? I mean, were the
considered
slaves
human.
considered fully human at the time though?
What, by who? You can't. You're talking about an entire
By
civilization.
America.
By America.
Do people consider
Hold
abortion
on.
wrong? And it's
Okay.
like, well, fucking,
All right.
it's complicated.
By
man.
America.
A lot of people. It was controversial to start a country.
I know, but I'm just asking
You
right
can't
now.
say by America.
Const-
You tell me how does America feel about Trump?
I mean, like
They
America
love him.
is divided by Trump, but
It's divided by slavery at the time of the Constitution.
Trump won the popular vote last time, right?
Yeah,
last
he
time I
did.
checked.
Well, you're jumping from
The-
stuff.
No,
Do you
no,
still
no.
want to talk
You
about?
just brought up Trump. I'm talking about the
did.
Why
Constitution.
you gotta get? I've been talking about all kinds of shit. Why you gotta jump on that like a
Because you
cat
brought
with a
it
laser
up.
pointer?
Were
I was talking about the
slaves
Constitution.
Considered human in the
Were they
Constitution
considered fully human?
when it-
I don't
when it-
know. There
What
is
is
no.
it?
Listen
You
to me.
know,
Do y'all
you're
want
a-
me to answer you?
you're a
I will.
historic-
Y'all keep
Answer.
wanting this simple
I
explanation.
just answer
Simple.
the
It's
question.
not a simple answer, and I'm not gonna fucking let y'all simplify it down
what's,
into
what's
one.
your answer? What's your answer?
The answer is that they were considered 3/5 of all other
Okay.
persons, which included Native Americans.
Now, were those slaves allowed to vote?
I wasn't
No, they
finished,
weren't.
by the way, but I'm going to
ahead.
let you.
Go ahead,
I mean,
man.
do you want to talk about the voting thing too?
No, I'm just
'Cause
bringing
this
up
is a
that
different
point.
subject.
We're
We're
just
talking
talking
about the
about that point.
Constitution and 3/5 compromise, right?
All right,
Look
go
it
ahead.
up.
Finish
I'm
your.
gonna-
Get the text of the 3/5 compromise.
Let me
Okay,
finish
so make sure that I'm
your-
telling you this right.
Go
It was
ahead.
3/5 of all other persons for the purposes of the census to
Okay.
determine the apportionment in the House of Representatives, how Congress was going to be oriented, because House of Representatives was the chamber of Congress that is based on the popular vote, that is
Okay.
based on democracy. So you had to count everybody. Now, that determines the number of representatives that sit in the House for that seat.
Okay.
That determines the number of electoral college votes for that state.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It explains how all these power games work. It was a compromise. While
At
it was
the
called
time,
the
we only had
3/5,
13 colonies. Go ahead.
the reason it was a
Yeah.
3/5 compromise
go ahead.
is because there was a disagreement between the people who were adopting the Constitution over how power should be determined. Should it be based on everybody gets an equal vote? All the states get 2 senators? Or should it be, no, we need to base it on the population? It's the difference between a democracy and a republic. That's what the argument's been in America the entire time, is a democracy or a republic. The 3/5 compromise was enacted specifically to prevent the more populist states from having too much disproportionate power in the government based on the slaves that didn't have a vote, that were considered property. So why the fuck should they be counted as full people and used to gain political power if they're slaves? Why the fuck should we consider them full people? It's not fair
Because
to
they
the
are.
slaves. They are. But do you see how
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm getting at?
But yeah.
Did
go
it
ahead.
again. I'm sorry,
It's all
man.
good.
Yeah.
You good.
But that's why it was a compromise. And I'm
I
not saying
understand.
it's right. I'm not
So-
I
justifying
understand the
it.
compromise. Yeah.
I'll reiterate
am I right?
some. I'll read it. That
Yeah,
way
please.
So it says the 3/5 compromise, 1787, did not literally define enslaved black people as 60% human. Instead, it was a formula in the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, determining that 3/5 of the enslaved population would be counted when calculating a state total population for congressional representation and taxation. That's
Isn't that
what
what I
it
said? Isn't that what I said?
You said some of that.
said.
Well, was I wrong about anything? Tell me.
No, I
Educate
didn't-
me.
I don't think you were.
I didn't think you were. I didn't say.
I don't want to be wrong.
That's why I read it. I read it too.
Isn't that what I
just
said?
People
That's what
so
I said.
people to get the gist.
All right, so yeah. I want to talk about white privilege, but I want to ask you something because you specifically have brought up that women could vote at that time.
You said women and blacks.
You also felt like blacks could vote. Now, the majority of blacks who were in America at the time were slaves. And so could those slaves vote?
No.
That's my question.
No.
Okay. All right.
Definitely not.
And, at the time, were women, I understand that they might have had maybe a chance to vote. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm explaining, what I'm trying to make y'all understand is that the voting laws at America's founding were not based on race.
Okay.
They were not based on gender.
Okay.
They were based on land ownership. Now, that doesn't mean that doesn't correlate to slave ownership. That doesn't mean that doesn't correlate to the discrimination against women or even the discrimination against freed black men. That doesn't mean that you could vote in South Carolina just because you could vote in some northeastern state. I don't remember which northeastern state it was that technically a freed black man who owned land could have voted. That's why I say there's no evidence that it happened. I'm just saying based on the laws and how they were designed, our original inception was not based around race. It wasn't structured that way. The racial issue became a problem in the Andrew Jackson era because Jacksonian democracy gave this power to the people and said, no, the free white men of society are going to overthrow these elites that are corrupt and trying to install a central bank and keep us from taking over Native American land or whatever they were trying to do. But that's where the racial aspect of American voting comes from. That's when the Jim Crow laws start getting passed, and it wasn't just anywhere once, there's places all over. Y'all know the history better than I do. Mm-hmm. But the point I'm getting at is, and I'm not saying that historical context of the Black American struggle does it explain. I'm not saying it doesn't matter today. It explains there's nothing that it doesn't explain about our modern racial situation because it brought us to this point. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying there's not racism. I think there's always going to be racism in a society, especially a multicultural society. That's the nature of evolutionary tribalism.
Now,
right?
Tell me why do you believe that we don't have that people don't have white privilege?
I've never said that we don't have white privilege.
Okay.
I've said that white privilege exists in a certain way. Okay.
Explain your your ideas.
Okay, well, let's differentiate first. Let's
white
differentiate
privilege.
between privilege and white privilege, okay? Because I think you can agree with me that there's such thing as
There are
we can all
privileges.
agree there's privilege in America, right? We can agree that there's privilege beyond racial lines. There is. Hold on, don't get to white privilege just yet because it's
No,
different,
I
and I
understand.
know it's different.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure we're talking about the right thing, okay? Because privilege can exist in Hollywood for, what's his name, Randy Quaid's kid to star in the Amazon Prime. You know what I'm saying?
Dennis Quaid. That's called nepotism.
The nepotism of the. Okay, so y'all see what I'm getting at. And the reason that white privilege exists in America specifically is because and I'm gonna say, I don't want y'all to get pissed at me and pull me off on a tangent, but white men built the modern world. Okay, they didn't do it alone, but they built the modern world, and as a result of doing so, they now, as a generational result, control the majority of the positions of power. They control the avenues of opportunity into universities, and they control all of the, the doorways of success and promotion and all this stuff. It's disproportionately controlled by white men, right? We can all agree with that. That's a natural result of that. And an aspect of that is the white privilege that comes from the unconscious bias that we all have to prefer people that look like us, right? The mirror bias of evolutionary tribalism that it told us, hey, when something new happens, don't stick your hand in there. You might die. It's an evolutionary mechanism to stay away from things that are new and different. So you stick to your own kind. I'm not defending it because America's multicultural, and that's an aspect of what we have to get over. And in that context, along with the systems that were built over the course of this history, there is an element of white privilege. Now, does that mean that America is fundamentally flawed? I don't think so. I think that what that means is the values in the Constitution have been imperfectly applied since the beginning. That's why I call it the founding hypocrisy when we talk about the 3/5 compromise, okay? Because you cannot, in the same document, espouse the rights of all people and equality of justice for all and, these great natural rights of John Locke while simultaneously saying these people over here who were bonded into chattel slavery are not real people. It's a founding hypocrisy, okay? So we've never gotten it right. We fell to democracy almost immediately. And then we fell into capitalism and corruption and industrialism and progressivism and military industrial complex. And now here we are. And we're in the era of, among other things, the weaponization of our tribalist natures and the emotional factions of a democracy and how to mobilize them in order to achieve political power. That's where we are right now. Now, I'm not saying, I do not believe America is fundamentally flawed. I think this country is the greatest country that has ever existed. I think it's the greatest country that can possibly exist once you start breaking it down to what it means as a philosophical principle. I do not think we are going to survive if we keep going down this road of democracy and emotional factions and tribalism and he got more than I did and that's not fair. And I'm not saying there's not valid complaints. There are, okay? But I think that just like with any national political issue, there are good points on both sides. And we're not listening to each other anymore. And there's not one people. There's two sets of people who benefit when none of the other people can agree. And it's the people who gain power from voting. And I think this Voting Rights Act is the latest. So white privilege exists in the context of the unconscious bias that white Americans have as the majority people who control these avenues of opportunity and promotion and success who are going to unconsciously prefer people that look like them. Now, there's other elements to that, but that part of it is a real thing.
Yes.
Okay. And that's why I think in a multicultural society like the one that we have, it's not too much to ask to educate people about your unconscious bias. To just say, hey, man, it's nothing personal. You're just going to prefer people that look like you. This is all you got to do is look in a high school cafeteria. We're comfortable with who we're comfortable with. It's not an evil or prejudiced thing. But you have to recognize it so that when you're controlling the avenues of opportunity and advancement in a society, you don't give into it in a way that denies someone an opportunity for no real good reason other than, but if we swing the pendulum too far and you move too far away from merit, you end up with a cruise ship that's going to poison the entire world. Ha! How's that for a transition to your other? Yeah.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I obviously, like, white privilege does exist. And I think that it's important to acknowledge that as a fact. A lot of people don't. A lot of people feel like, man, like, where is this privilege? Especially the people who are living in today's world. It's like, well, they feel like black people grew up with the same amount of opportunity as they did. And, and it's just like, no, it's different because at a certain point, black people weren't considered human. And I know I keep coming back to that, but
why do you have to frame your modern day perspective through a historical lens? Why?
Context always matters. And
why is the only context we're always getting for these arguments historical?
Let me finish, because we're talking about history and we're talking about America as a country.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about America, you got to talk about history, and you got to understand.
Do you think that the philosophy of America's founding is more important than the history of the application of that philosophy?
Why white privilege exists is because most black Americans, by the way, weren't even considered Americans at the time. They were slaves. Most black descendants of slaves didn't have any rights until like the 1860s. Now, America was starting to come together back in the 1600s.
That's not true, what you just said.
Wait a minute.
Did you say all black Americans? Or did you say
no,
some?
I did not. I didn't even say Americans. I said black descendants of slaves. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, that's not true.
White Americans had almost 200 years of being in power and having an advantage and all of these things. And until the Emancipation Proclamation in the 1860s came about, okay, that's when black people started to have some rights. And then, to your point, because you talked about
for the record, black people had rights.
I'll let you talk for like 5-6 minutes.
But you're wrong, and I want to make sure that you know you're wrong. But go ahead.
Without stopping.
That's fine.
So black people, when in 1865, once the Emancipation Proclamation had happened, they didn't even tell a lot of black people, and that's why we have Juneteenth, because like they still were lying to a lot of the black people who were freed. Yet they had to go to Texas and tell them, hey, this is what's happening. A couple of years after that, they started to take things out of the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay, so although we had made a step forward, like this man was telling us earlier, they took things away from us. Okay, now, and then some of the black people at that point, okay, they had some rights, right? But America didn't give them anything. And so a lot of them had to go back to the plantations in order to make some money, okay, in order to feed their families and stuff like that. And so they were still on the plantations, okay? And then we get to a point where we talk about, okay, the 1900s, the early 1900s, and we start going through this. Now they bring in these Jim Crow laws. And, the three of us, by the way, we're in the film industry. And so we have to acknowledge the propaganda that was being placed on people with the movie A Birth of a Nation, I think it was called, at the time. And it basically started, there were factions of the KKK that were around, but they had kind of gone away. But it started the KKK again. And, the Jim Crow laws and all this stuff was in place. And so now, even when black people had started to rise and started to get a little bit of headway, now here we come with all these different things and these different laws that they're now under. And now we go from Jim Crow to us trying to get a vote. We're still trying to like do different things. And by the way, I'm skipping through history, but there's so much that was happening. I mean, there was like the Black Wall Street and all these different things that were taken away from Black people. Oklahoma City, like them burning down the things, Tulsa, Oklahoma, let me rephrase that. And all of these things that were happening throughout history, okay? People's rights being taken away from them, giving a little bit of inch, and then they're saying, snatch that right back, okay? And you wanted to talk about the 70s earlier, you know, and all of this stuff and all of that. But you're very strategic in what you want to talk about, because you leave out the fact that how through laws there was a war.
I'm not
there was
strategic.
A war on drugs and all of these different things that were happening, and how the white kids they could.
Did you bring me here just to lecture me?
No.
Did you bring me here just to lecture me about the?
I'm just going on. Let me
racist American history, because I can listen to it. I know all this shit you're saying.
I know, but
and if you just need to vent to a white man, dude, I'm here for that. I'm
context.
okay. I'm all right with that. I will be that guy. I respect you. I will be that guy.
Do you agree that context matters, though?
Okay, how long did you just fucking spend talking about history?
I'm just saying.
How long I want to know how many minutes you just spent talking about fucking history.
He had more time than me.
That's why I was quiet. I was going to let you talk, man.
I gave him a long
You did, and that's why I was being respectful. And all you fucking talked about was history. We talked about white fucking privilege.
But I'm talking about
privilege. And you went
privilege.
off on a historical rant that took us through American history and didn't say shit about why I have to give a fuck about white privilege in modern America.
This is why white people have been
Who the fuck is white
people?
people? Don't fucking group me with other race people in my race.
No, I didn't say you.
You said this is why white people using this indicates my behavior and the things I'm saying. This is why white people don't fucking group me with.
I wasn't trying to group you right there. Now
I had to laugh. He said, "You brought me here to lecture."
I have grouped you.
I'm bringing the fire. I thought you wanted the fire.
I love the fire. I love the fire.
You know I love you.
I live for the fire.
I ain't coming at y'all crooked. We just talking.
I live for the fire.
It's funny.
But I'm passionate. I love this fucking country. Okay, I love this fucking country. And you're an American. You're an American. I want to talk to y'all about this.
By the way, I'm
not gonna back off.
Did you
like American?
Did you like Drewski's skit?
I didn't even know who the fuck that was until he cross-dressed as Erica Kirk or something.
No, when he did the American at NASCAR.
All I saw was him cross-dressing, and I'm like, I don't need that. And flip the shot. I'm like, whatever the fuck that is.
You didn't see the American? You didn't see one? He said, America.
I didn't see that one?
No. What, he's at the NASCAR?
I actually think I did maybe see
that. That one was good.
The NASCAR.
Was he in whiteface?
Yeah. Okay. It was funny because you keep saying, I'm American. I love America.
That's what I fucking, hey, I'm all right with it.
That's what he was saying.
Y'all can make fun of me. I don't give a fuck. I love this country.
That's all good that you love America.
But hold on. I want to make sure I hit this point. I don't want to lose this.
I'm just talking about why white privilege exists.
The reason that you frame your political ideology in the present on the historical context of a race-based oppression narrative around some kind of a historical atrocity is because it's a Marxist principle to base your concepts of justice around group justice that it measures out the imbalances of society based on an oppression and oppressor orientation. I'm forgetting the fucking word. I'm losing it. But
white privilege.
It's a Marxist ideology. White privilege exists in a very, very limited way. Okay, a very, very limited way. And right now in this country, there is less white privilege than there has ever been.
What do you think about that?
In the history of this country,
I can debug that. I don't even have to go back far as history. You know, you can go to you already know about redlining. You're a veteran like me.
I know what redlining is.
They didn't give. We couldn't get VA home loans.
Who the fuck is we? Why are you
black?
But I'm saying you are not your race. You are an individual person. Why do that?
Also, too, in America, that's where they started white and black. In Europe, your people wasn't considered like white. You know, we wasn't considered black. You know what I mean? People.
I know what you mean. I don't like viewing the world, and I get that that's part of white privilege.
And you don't want
to. I don't want to look at the world through that lens, and I have a choice. I can do that.
And that's fine.
We're just trying not to be naive about this thing.
That. But you know, at the same time, though, I think I think, the brothers being sincere. I think, but man, don't really want to look at people from that scope, and I get that.
You
really
talking about
wanna,
looking at people from a race?
Yeah.
You'll
I
never,
know you-
we
I know you
will
do-
never be able
we
to
never
fix
get
our
it.
racial issues,
Yeah,
our
and you don't wanna
multicultural issues, if we are treating people differently based on race.
Yeah,
And
And-
I get the
and
argument
you're
that
100%
colorblindness
right.
it's not help. I get the argument that it's not helpful because and correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all probably know more about this than I do. But the idea of colorblindness is it doesn't reflect the broken nature of the system, which is based around white supremacy because of the nature of the system that was built. Remember I said white men built the modern world. They didn't build it because to advance other races. They did it to advance their race. So the system itself.
I got a little bit of pushback on that, right?
Okay.
When you say they built the modern world, I think they created an infrastructure in the Constitution. We built the modern world. You can disagree all you want, but I can show you plenty black inventors for some of the same liberties that you walk around today that you wouldn't have if it wasn't for a lot of black people.
Can we
You know
agree
what
that
I'm
the
saying?
vast majority of the positions of decision making and leadership across all avenues of society have been occupied by white men since the Constitution and up until right now today?
No, I would say by
Part of their white
men-
privilege is that
men,
they do
period.
occupy these avenues of power.
And that is the infrastructure that they wrote
A
down.
society is built by the people
they
that
wrote
are making
down, right?
decisions.
That they wrote down. But people, you don't want to use race, but I have to use race. But we already had societies and infrastructures elsewhere.
Yeah.
They had society and infrastructure elsewhere.
Yep.
Right? So they took with their knowledge, what they had, well, we want to make something for us,
Yep.
right? So you just came up with the construct of that we built that, and we contribute to that to make it even more better than what the construct for what they had.
There was a world that existed before America. But
Way
yeah, go ahead.
before, and then.
Do you mean in Native American cultures that hadn't invented the wheel? Or in sub-Saharan African cultures that hadn't invented the wheel?
Even if
Let
you
him
go
finish.
back even further, you will
places?
see there were people that looked like us here
Yeah.
before y'all even came here, right?
So who the fuck is y'all?
So let me say this.
Please
right?
stop doing that.
So I'm not going to go.
Y'all won't put up with that shit from me.
I don't even have to.
Right?
Or just people
Let
that
him
look like
finish,
me.
though.
People
Let
like
him
me.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to go that far back in history, right? We can start from education. And education goes on to this day, right? When I was in school, you was in school, we had to learn British lit. Everything is set in white society. I'm not gonna say you white society. We to this day we still have Columbus Day, and as time go on, all that is a lie. They discovered that black folks was already here way before him, and it even had another person before Columbus in school.
People were here.
And before Columbus, that's what they taught us, right? They even said, before him it was a guy named by the name of Leif Erikson. But see, that's as far as they go, but they don't go all the way back. It's taught
teaching you
in
the
a
history of
European,
America, not the Native American people.
yeah, but it's a false.
I don't want my taxes to pay for every other society that's ever lived.
It's a false narrative.
To be no, it's not. That's the history. That's what happens.
It's not. No,
civilizations conquer each other.
But you don't. How can you discover something that isn't lost? The people already here. You can't discover anything that's already there. You can discover a territory where there's non-inhabitants. Yeah. I have discovered this island.
Yeah.
You can't discover something where a society already in place, even though in that time it might have been what we look upon as primitive.
Yeah.
But society and hierarchy is already in place.
Yeah.
What you did is you come in like you said.
Who did? Who did?
What they did.
Whoever they did. Yeah.
What they did is they come in. And they took over a society and took over the infrastructure. They conquered that society, yeah. Right? And created their own infrastructures and their own constitutions,
yep.
And then brought in other people to do the work, in which we build,
okay.
and to the betterment of that society, right?
Okay.
So
who was in charge and who was making the decisions?
They were making decisions.
Who's they?
White folk.
Okay, so it wouldn't be a stretch to say white men built the modern world? They're the ones in charge. They're the ones making the decisions. They're the ones leading the way. They're the ones determining who does what, who's paid for what, where we invest money, where we attack, whether or not we fight to free the slaves, whether or not I'm going to help these people on the Underground Railroad get to safety, whether or not I'm going to go out there and I'm going to march in Selma with these people who are fighting for right, the white people who are
not
in charge of
disagreeing with
society.
He's not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
Okay.
They created their like you said, their own infrastructure for them. They created infrastructure for them, right? That's why they
not from the beginning, but it was. I mean, over time, the white men who were in charge,
because
it became racial. I ain't gonna lie to you. And even at the beginning, they were racist. Of course, they were racist. It was the 18th century. But that was not ingrained into the Constitution. The racial aspect of supremacy.
It started off, and see, once again, we got to. I'm trying not to go as far back to history, but since you take it there, we have to do that. So even with Christopher Columbus' memoirs, when he wrote Back to the Queen, these peoples are so generous, and you can really pull this up. Everything I'm saying
is from A People's History of the United
States.
Exactly.
They will give us. We can take and use them and do whatever we want, because that was just the nature of the people to be generous and give to your fellow man. But that wasn't their nature.
Every civilization that has ever existed has conquered other civilizations and taken slaves and used them for work, and it's existed throughout history. There's only been one civilization that has completely abolished slavery and then given generations of former slaves equal status in their society. Only one civilization's done that. Yeah,
the UK, right?
Yeah, them two.
Yeah.
All right.
They did abolish. They led the way on the slave.
And then look what happened at the UN.
Yeah,
when all the nations went.
You're talking about Western society. So
okay, I see what you're
saying. The UK's about to turn into itself, and I mean it's
I'm
all of
remember
Europe's
at the UN. Remember they went to the UN and they had that about was slavery the biggest atrocity, and all countries agree except with US, I believe, was it Israel?
See, can I ask a question? What does that? I mean, what effect does that have? Why does anything you just said matter? Like, why would we care about what the UN thinks is the biggest atrocity? What's that got to do with shit?
Because it wouldn't matter to you, but it would matter.
Why
to
would
people.
it matter? I'm asking why would it matter to you?
Why it matters?
Yeah. Well, what does it change in your life?
Because a lot of black folks in America need to be made whole.
Does that do anything to make you whole? The UN declaring this
it can be a start. It can be a start.
And
because,
now, go ahead.
That would acknowledge the atrocities that happened. So if you acknowledge the atrocities, then I mean you have to address it. And by you would address it, then you would have to do something. Is anyone denying the atrocities happened? America did. America denied it.
Who did?
You didn't hear about that?
You talking about at the UN?
Yeah, America denied it. They denied it.
Okay.
They denied it.
I learned about the atrocities in school. I don't know anybody that says slavery didn't exist.
By the way, America still denies atrocities that has happened.
Who is America? Who denies it?
Now,
who denies it?
We have 10 minutes. I want to take these 10 minutes.
So you don't like getting specific.
I want us to talk about real fast. I want us to talk about reparations.
No.
Do you think that America should have reparations?
I want to hear him.
Why?
No.
Okay. Go ahead. Oh, that's your answer?
Well, I mean, that's
okay.
No. It's very simple for me. Do you want to tell me why you think? I assume you think
Yeah, of course.
So let me hear it.
Right.
I disagree with everything you're about to say.
Okay.
So,
by the way, I'm in the middle on this.
Look at the average income of a white family and a black family. You know what I'm saying? They can't. They dollar don't even circulate. They dollar don't circulate right fast enough. Honestly, and I don't necessarily think it's not only in the forms of financial, even though that's what they really need, you know, because I think they also need financial literacy as well, but it can be in the forms of education, taxation, it can be in a police reform. I think these are I think that's the biggest sin on America is what they did to people who look like me and my. You know what I'm saying, to my ancestors. So yeah, I think they do need reparations.
Well, so before I pull you off onto a different tangent, I want to ask you a question real quick.
Mm-hmm.
If America implemented programs that were designed to treat the symptoms of generational racism, such as poverty, poor access to education, poor access to housing, all of these things that cause the second and third order effects of generational problems that are rooted in racism. Can we agree that those things are rooted in the black communities? Okay, there's nothing genetically inferior about black people. There's a historical context that has established why black communities are struggling in a lot of ways. And if we can agree that programs that are designed to address things like poverty and education outside of a racial context, but that are designed in a way that it will disproportionately help the racial group that is most affected by that problem, which is to say poverty, healthcare, education, whatever it is. If that was a form of reparations, would you accept it? Would you accept it? If that was a form of reparations?
You said for poverty, healthcare.
Yeah, if there were government programs that directly addressed the symptoms of generational racism, but not generational racism specifically. Like if we say that the symptoms of generational racism are, the disproportionate poverty rates, right. You got broken homes, the family unit, and single moms can't afford stuff, and education, all this stuff.
And you saying, will we accept it?
What I'm saying is, actually, I'm not trying to throw you in a gotcha moment, so I'm just going to make my broader point, which is to say that's what's been happening since the 1960s. Since the 1960s, there has been a progressively escalating series of programs that have been specifically intended to address the symptoms of generational racism in Black American communities.
And let's get specific. Which programs are you talking about?
Where's my phone?
And let's talk about those specific programs.
Exactly.
Hold on just a
second.
second.
I kind of know what you're going to bring up.
Well, you can make your point while he's searching.
Well, my point is this. America has been spending a lot of money. And, when I was younger, I kind of was like, I bought into the ideas that we couldn't do reparations. I bought into these ideas that we could not do healthcare for people. I bought into all these ideas because I was like, well, America's already broke. We already have this deficit that's going on. And like America's already broke and we can't spend any money and all this other stuff. And then I've seen what's happened. How many times we've bailed out these huge corporations. How many times we have helped out so many different people, so many different countries. How we have been fighting these wars and putting up trillions and trillions of dollars towards these wars. And how all of these companies are making trillions and trillions of dollars. And I go, wait a minute, I thought America was broke. I thought America couldn't.
America is broke, to be clear.
Wait a minute. I thought America couldn't do these things. And then we go through COVID. And I go, wait a minute here. Y'all are spending all this money.
Yeah, just print it. The government prints the money.
All right, hold on.
Just keep printing it.
Let's talk about reparations again. Let's talk about health care.
I'm ready to talk about reparations.
Let's talk about free education.
The Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Fair Housing Act of 1968, the Affirmative Action Executive Orders, Executive Order 11246, the War on Poverty programs of the 1960s, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965, the Higher Education Act of 1965, Minority Business Development Agency 1969, Community Reinvestment Act 1977, Section 8 Housing 1974, Equal Employment Opportunity Enforcement expansion, HBCU support, Title III ongoing, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Programs, Pell Grants, SNAP extension, Earned Income Tax Credit, Workforce Investment Act, Criminal Justice Reforms, First Step Act 2018, Affordable Care Act 2010, DEI initiatives in both the private and the public sector, federal contracting set-asides, 8A program.
Yeah.
That's what we've seen since 1960. So when we talk about reparations, if we talk about government programs that are funded by taxes that are specifically designed to address the symptoms of generational racism, but are not specifically targeted at a race, would that be acceptable reparations?
Exactly.
Yes.
No.
That's what's been happening since the 60s.
Tell me, what's the percentage of black folk that actually affect?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
know.
That wasn't
You
the
know
question
why?
we were talking about.
But no,
that wasn't the question. You're asking about the impact of these programs.
Yeah, those same.
That's
you
a different
saying,
conversation.
No.
The question is whether or not that counts as reparations.
No.
Not whether or not the reparations worked.
No.
Those aren't reparations.
That isn't reparations. Reparations is designed specifically for Black Americans. Jews specifically had reparations. After slavery, white slaveholders specifically had reparations because they lost their slaves. We talking about specifically for Black. We already proved DEI is bullshit. Blacks are the last on the list to benefit from that. So none of those programs you name don't mean shit because we don't benefit from none of that.
And why should we
don't
keep spending money on things that don't mean shit?
Because Trump trying to get $1 billion, they about to pass for the fucking ballroom. They about to pass $1 billion.
What's that got to do?
So what he just said, they got
America
money. They has money. They got the money. Okay. They give Israel $3 billion every year.
We're already giving money over there, so we need to give money over here.
No. The argument is they told us the reason why they won't do reparations
because they don't have the money.
Because it will bankrupt America.
Who said that?
People have been saying that for years. Come on, don't act disingenuous.
No, you'll never get
when it comes to
reparations.
that. People have been
I
saying,
say you because
I'm
assuming
saying that.
I'm talking to you specifically.
That was your rule, by the way.
I'm not
you
talking
wanted
about
to
a
have
race.
that rule.
I'm saying
that's
you
your rule.
Specifically are never getting reparations because it's not a constitutional concept. It is a violation of liberty to enforce consequences on a race.
My question is
for a historical debt
Very
and
good.
allocate resources of a society.
Wait a minute.
That's not
How
fair.
come the Jewish people got reparations?
Why would you think that because it's okay over here, it would be okay over here?
Answer the question.
Why would you think that?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Jews I don't know. Reparations?
I don't know.
You just told me.
I don't know. I don't care.
That it is a violation of the Constitution. Then why did Jewish people get reparations?
They shouldn't have.
But they got it. I
didn't do that.
They get $3 billion a year. By the way, which they have affordable health care. So the shit does work.
No.
It does work. Canada has it. It does work.
No, that's a whole other
It does
conversation.
work.
No.
So it does
America's
work.
healthcare industry, it props up the entire world.
It does work.
It props up. It is not just our healthcare industry.
We do need reparations.
By the way,
I'm just talking to you. You'll never get them. It's never going to happen in this country. That's the end of America.
And you know,
that's the end of
America.
You
know what it is?
You just said nobody ever says that. By the way,
that's
now
the end
you're
of
saying
America.
it.
You see what I'm saying?
It's the end of America because this nation is built on philosophy. It is not built on history. It is not built on any of the systems. It's built on philosophy. And if you start violating that philosophy in a way that is designed to enforce equity based on group-based historical atrocities instead of equal justice.
Why do you think black people
and individual liberty? That's the end of America.
History keeps repeating itself.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you think black people want reparations?
Why do I think black people want reparations? I wouldn't say black people want reparations.
They do though.
Who are you to speak for all black people?
Because I'm a black man. And
you get to speak for all black people? How many black people support reparations? Are we going to say all of them?
Majority of black people reparations.
So should we refer to them as an entire group because the majority does something?
Majority of
them. But just answer the question though.
Why do you think
this phraseology? Why? First of all, I don't think you are qualified to speak for all black people, and I don't think I'm qualified to speculate on why black people think anything.
Okay.
So do you want me to guess?
If you were black, why would you want reparations?
If I was black, I've never played this game before.
If you were black, why would you want reparations?
If I was black, I would want reparations.
What's the first word you would say? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just sorry. I should never said that. I'm making jokes. I'm just making jokes.
It hurt my feelings. That was awesome.
Just making jokes.
Okay, what was the fucking question?
If you were black, why would you want reparations? You was about to answer the question. Why would you want reparations?
Why would I want? Hold on, I can formulate an argument for pro reparation. I'm very against it, but I can do it because I'm critical.
If you were black,
you need to jump off.
No,
real quick.
No, I'm good.
So
I'm good to go.
I mean, depending on the form that reparations take, so you can easily say that the modern situation that the Black American community is going through needs some form of injection, a massive injection of opportunity and capital, and it needs like a nitro booster in a race to pull it out of the kind of, and I'm trying not to sound too horrible about this, but to pull it out of the pit that it kind of is so that it can catch up to the rest of America, supposedly. I know that, but my problem with this is we are never going to get beyond this racial aspect if we don't stop looking at our problems in this way. I grew up very poor and very white. Okay, but I understand the concept of white privilege, but I cannot tell you how fucking much it pisses me off when people tell me I have white privilege. You don't know shit about me, man. I grew up in a fucking trailer that had a hole in it in the living room. My mom slept in the goddamn dining room. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying you lived better or worse, and I'm not saying you live better or worse. And I understand the concept that the majority of white people, rich people in America, are white. I'm just saying that in the mix of all of these conversations, a lot of the times we forget, hey, man, there are a lot of fucking poor white people fought for the Union Army. You know what I'm saying? A lot of fucking poor white people were out there helping out with, overcoming Jim Crow and everything. Yeah. And when we talk about this generational racism and it gets to the point where we're saying white privilege, I can agree that there is white privilege in a certain sense, but we have to be careful about referring to people by their race in that way because it encapsulates everybody in the race and it doesn't leave room for the minutia of I grew up in a fucking trailer.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
So okay.
You grew up. What are we talking about?
So you grew up.
Yeah.
You said you grew up less privileged, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people grew up a lot poorer than me, to
right?
be clear.
So you heard the quote from LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson. You heard what he said, right?
Oh, he said a lot of stupid shit.
He said when they asked him about how he get his votes out and how talking to people, he said, "What you do is you find the poorest white man," and I'm paraphrasing, but you can look it up. The poorest white man. And you make him think he's better than the best black man.
Yeah.
Hell, give him somebody to look down upon, and he won't notice you picking his pockets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he'll give you his money himself.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with that, is sometimes it don't matter how poor you are, which I'm not saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words, what they say, you had the protection for, you had the complexion for the protection.
Yeah.
So meaning your white skin
I can still clean up and go in there and be the white
privilege.
man in the boardroom.
Your white,
I
Your skin was your. So that's pretty much what they said. And I get the fact that you didn't have much. A lot of us didn't have.
No. And I didn't.
And I'm not saying that you didn't work hard. And I believe you worked hard to get to where you are. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't like pulling to my personal circumstances because I think we should be able to have conversations in the abstract outside of those realms, but I knew that we needed to. It's a very personal conversation, and I needed to bring y'all into my world how I formed.
But you know what? Real quick, I know we got to wrap up real quick.
Yeah.
But what you said when you put yourself in the scope of a black person and why you should need reparations, that was exactly it. What you said.
Well, and it's because
even though you disagree,
it's easy.
Exactly
if you grow up poor, it's easy to grow up thinking life ain't unfair and it's somebody's fault. It's somebody else's fault. That it's that bad man over there's fault, or it's that white man's fault, or it's those black people over there's fault. It's somebody else's fault that I'm growing up poor and fucking pissed off, and I can't have the things that those other people have. When in truth, that's just fucking life. Life fucking sucks for some people. I agree that it sucks more for some people than others for various reasons.
Overall, the totality is not a lot.
But America is about suck it the fuck up and work harder than everybody else and become successful. And I'm not saying it's not harder for black men.
But
maybe
also,
it is.
America says
we
all
can't
these
become the
different
country
things.
that says you need more help than he does. We can't be that country because that's the death of the republic. That's the death of the meritocracy.
You have to acknowledge that black people have had. They didn't have the head start that white people got,
and still don't.
And the passed down wealth of generations.
That ain't got shit to do with me and you.
It does.
You're talking about a whole group,
as a whole. And it would be fine if white people weren't walking around talking about, well, why aren't these blacks getting themselves together?
White people don't say anything.
I didn't say it was you. I'm just saying
white people as a whole don't say nothing.
Why are these black people not getting themselves together? It's been all these years.
That's actually a good question. Let me ask you this. What responsibility does the black American culture have for any of this?
We gave a lot of these black people so much. We gave them all these different things.
We gave them Obama.
We gave them all this different stuff, and they still ain't got themselves together.
We gave
and it's
we gave Obama.
Well, you know, you have to look at
What's
the
your response to
context.
that? What's your
You
response
have
to
to
that?
look at the
Look,
context
we got
of
y'all all
what
kinds of
happened.
rights. Yeah, y'all all kinds of rights. We got to put it in the Constitution. You gonna be equal? You gonna be equal? You gonna have all the rights. We gave you all the rights in the Constitution. We always Civil Rights Act. Yeah, all the legal laws you wanted in the Civil Rights Act. You done had 6 years to get your shit together.
All of these
6 years. All I got is LeBron.
You know,
all I got is LeBron and a Black Panther movie. Y'all need to get y'all shit together.
You know what my response to it is? If you come to me and say you have a broken leg and you in pain, if I give you some painkillers for it, and you say, "Oh, thank you," is your leg still broken?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah. That's the response
Boom.
to it.
All right.
That's it.
Hantavirus, 2 seconds. 30 seconds each.
2 seconds.
30 seconds each. What do you guys think of
Y'all
the
know where it came
Hantavirus?
from, right? They said that's like bat shit and piss and rat droppings. I was reading up on that's.
What do you
I
think?
don't know why
Quickly.
anybody would get on a fucking
Opinion.
cruise. I've been on a cruise and I
was
understand
on
the
once.
appeal, but
But mine was clean. How was your cruise?
I honestly don't remember, so I guess it must have been clean. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like you would notice if it was dirty because there's so many fucking people there that they're all stacked. Remember I told you I sent you a text that it's just that's why army like military barracks and history disease was the biggest problem they had to deal with because there's so many fucking people stacked up
Crammed
on top
in
of
one
each
place.
other. You start to get all these germs that and viruses that go fucking crazy. So
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why it doesn't happen more often.
I'm just hoping it don't be an outbreak because you know your boy. Well,
Don't buy it,
he ain't
yeah.
your boy, but you know the CDC's they fired 1,300 people, so 10% down. So I'm just hoping it don't become a pandemic. You know what I'm saying?
I don't buy none of the shit
It's
that
not
they're
funny.
selling right now.
I know.
None of the shit.
We're
that's
not
going
going to
on.
let them do what they did with COVID now. I'm going to tell you right now.
Why you think we have
because
more money?
No, listen.
Oh.
I mean, like,
How much
if
of
they
COVID
think
do you
that
think
they're
was
going
bullshit?
to, I think.
How much of it?
I'll tell you after this. But,
Okay. Or
but
so you want to save it for next episode?
I'll tell you a little bit later. But I mean, like, listen, I think a lot of it was BS. And I think that, you know, if they think that they're going to do the same stuff that they did to people last time, it's not going to happen. And this one's a lot more deadly, and that scares me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you cannot we cannot not have another COVID.
Yeah.
And the way that they were cooping people up and making sure that people couldn't do anything and all this other stuff, people aren't going to go for that this time. And so that's how I feel about it. But yeah,
Well, unless you were riding in the streets of Minneapolis, then you didn't have to worry about being cooped up. They let you, or if you were an illegal immigrant coming across the border.
I know
You didn't have to
people
worry about
who
being
actually
cooped up.
died from COVID. So
Yeah, me too.
you know,
Yeah, I do too.
It's unfortunate, you know. That's why I
So,
said I don't
The
want
guy
this to be like.
I ran for Congress in Louisiana, and the guy that actually beat me, well, Louisiana's got weird elections, but the guy who won the election, his name was Luke Letlow, and his wife. So he died of COVID after he won the initial runoff, and he won the primary. He didn't make it to the runoff. He died before he got to the runoff. So his wife stood in his place. Her name is Julia Letlow, and she is currently the congressperson of his district, and she's actually running for Senate right now. Again, for Louisiana. But I know people that died is what I'm saying. So I think it was kind of serious, but I mean, we could talk about it.
Yeah,
some
it
other
is.
time.
Yeah.
a different
All right.
time.
All right,
But
here we go. All right, yeah. Once again, I'm Brooks.
I'm Hendricks. Hey, plug yourself for them. Let them know to follow you and stuff like that.
I'm Matt motherfucking Hasty. Okay?
What's your
You can
podcast
find me
called?
on-
Yeah, your
Oh,
podcast,
it's
plug your stuff, man.
Oh shit. I should know this.
Wits In.
Everybody, yes, Wits In. That's yes. Wits In podcast. Yes,
The
I have
Wits
a
In
different one
podcast.
as well.
They're trying to get started, and you know, this is going to be a good one. I was on theirs as well. So.
And you have your own separate podcast, right, man?
Yeah, but I think I can't. It's terrible. It's like ramblings and gibberish. I think it's called
Okay.
ramblings and gibberish.
All right.
So that's terrible that I don't know the name of my own fucking
It's okay.
podcast. But yeah,
All right.
I'm Matt motherfucking Hasty.
Matt Hasty.
Yeah.
All right. We out. Peace.
We out. Peace.